to episode 4 of Game and Read. This time we are talking about dragons! Our book and game are Eragon by Christopher Paolini and Skyrim
by Bethesda Studios. Yes. Anyway, I read Eragon by Christopher Paolini for the book. It is a YA novel from 2001. And while many of my friends and classmates have read it, it's one of those many books that I never got around to reading, so I'm glad Erin recommended it for this particular challenge, so I could make her play Skyrim, and also because now I feel like I'm not missing out on that.
I read it one Christmas day when I was really sick and didn't do anything but read this book.
I didn't know that backstory. Anyway, I read it over the past couple of weeks. I just finished it today.
Woo!
Yeah, I had to power through to get it done. And overall, I enjoyed certain aspects of it. I think it's a good YA novel. If I read this at the age most people are reading this book, I would have loved it. I think reading it for the first time as a 23-year-old made me want a little bit more out of it. I wanted some more details. I wanted the fantasy names to make a little bit more sense than they did. And there were certain parts along the way that it just felt dull and kind of needless, even though the overarching plot of the whole series of books seems pretty interesting, and I'm curious to see where that goes. There are times, quick gist of what happens. This boy Eragon finds a dragon egg in his
farm.
Well,
yard?
Out in the mountains.
Near his farm?
Yeah, he lives in this fantasy empire controlled by a tyrant king who's like a sorcerer king who also rides a dragon. However, that's the only dragon left until Eragon finds this dragon egg that's mysteriously appeared in front of him. He doesn't know it's a dragon egg until a dragon pops out and he's like, whoa, this is crazy.
Surprise, you're having a dragon!
Anyway, and then he develops this relationship with a man who ends up becoming his mentor, Brahm, and learning how to use magic, how to fight, how to ride his dragon, which he names Saphira, because it's blue, like a sapphire. And then going on this quest to get revenge on a couple of monsters that have done some harm. I'm not going to say what specifically.
Shenanigans.
But he tries to get back at a couple of agents of the evil king who have done some damage to him personally. And along the way, he gets kind of embroiled in this looming rebellion and civil war. There's this group called the Varden trying to take out the king. There's some other stuff going on. It gets, fantasy stuff overall. And I think while I enjoy the general aspects of like seeking revenge and like there's this crazy civil war, kind of a la Star Wars where there's an evil king and then there's a rebellion, I found the hooks early on to be really kind of dull, kind of transitioning from this pursuit of revenge that doesn't fully get resolved and then switching over to, oh, now I'm trying to fight the Empire. Just, it transitioned kind of poorly, and there were, a few hundred pages where I was just like, I'm not sure what the overarching plot is. I can guess what it is because, fantasy stuff, but it doesn't seem to be building towards that at this point. And I guess going back to my final real critique is, Paolini uses a lot of fantasy words that are like a weird mix of knowing a little bit of Tolkien's Elvish with a little bit of like Nordic and German influences. And so there are like magical words you can speak, but they're all like, stone is Steiner. And
that's stone in German.
Yeah, there's a forest called Du Weldenwarden.
And what does that mean?
Well,
because I don't know. I don't speak German.
It's just very kind of Germanic mixed with Elvish, seemingly at random. And then there's random words that like have apostrophes in the middle, and it just, without a ton of explanation, like with Tolkien, there was a reason everything was called something. With this, there might be a reason, but it's not hinted at really anywhere in the book.
Yeah.
And that bummed me out and bugged me a little because the evil king's name is Galbatorix? We were having a hard time figuring out what that was.
We don't know.
And it's just like every time I read that word, I would like reading along normally and then Galbatorix? And I would like have to pause and rethink how I was saying that. And when you have words that just don't make any sense, it doesn't help the reader.
Yeah.
But overall, I liked the book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. You know, average good.
And I played Skyrim. I have played some big open world
She's played
games.
WoW.
I played WoW, so I was kind of familiar, but I'd never played Skyrim before. I'd watched Peter play a little. It was sort of familiar. So I dove right in. I made a character who is a female Imperial human.
Yep. Yeah,
She's a
Imperials are
human.
humans.
She's cool. She's got like a scar and some makeup and some cool hair. And I have two-handed. I use a boar hammer.
Yeah, warhammer and
And-
heavy armor.
Heavy armor, and I am smithing a lot.
Yes.
Those are my things. I fought a dragon and I won. I have a horse, and I
And she's done a lot of
have
quests.
done a lot of quests. I
There's-
have made my way from Whiterun, which is like the big first city, to Solitude. That's where I am, and I'm doing quests around in there before I venture off into the rest of the world.
I guess
Oh.
unlike other games we've
Yeah.
played, this is the first one we've had where it's impossible for her to really reach the end, because
Yeah.
this is a game where I've never actually completed the main storyline, but I've played over 100 hours between different characters.
And I've already played a lot of hours on it.
Yes.
I don't know how many. I didn't look, but I
it's
played a lot.
probably close to 20.
So, and I'm gonna continue playing. I do enjoy this game. So overall, it's really a lot of fun.
So what were your general thoughts on, like, your critiques of this game?
So gameplay-wise and game-wise, I both really liked and got really frustrated with the openness of the world. In Skyrim, as Peter reminded me hundreds probably of times as I've played this game, you can do whatever you want. You can pick up whatever quest you want. You can steal stuff. You can not steal stuff.
You can not go on quests and
not
just
go on
fight
quests.
stuff.
You can walk around, you can ride your horse, you can fast travel, you can take a wagon. There's so many things you can do, which is awesome because it means that you don't ever run out of things to do. But for me, it was really hard to get a handle on. I like structure. I like a little direction. I like to know where and what and how I should be going. And so in the beginning, it was really hard for me to even get an idea of where to start or what direction to even go in. But that is also what's really cool about it.
Yes.
And that's also what I think connects it really well to other fantasy things. So we'll talk about the book, but I think this is part of what connects it to the book.
Yeah.
Is that you have all these different quests and all these different storylines you can do, and some of them are like one quest and it's kind of frivolous and it's like whatever, you're done. Woohoo, you got some wheat or whatever it was. But some of them are long and involved and have a story and have narrative, and that narrative holds up. It's interesting.
Decent arcs.
It's interesting stories. And so that's a really cool part about the game, is that you can really get into it. There are books you can read to learn about the world. There are things you can do to further your story. You can talk to people and get little bits of knowledge. So that's a really cool part of it. I have some critiques. One is that it would have been really helpful to know the difficulty of quests before going on them. For example, I recently was doing a quest and I had to go through this dungeon, and I was like, boom, 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 got the dungeon, boom, 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 killed the things.
Checking out all the baddies.
Taking out the things, doing the things, getting to the end.
You're doing a lot of things.
I did a lot of things. It wasn't hard. I didn't die. And then I got to the end and I couldn't beat it. I couldn't beat the final enemy.
I was coaching her through it several times. We couldn't get it done.
Oh my gosh, it was hard and I'm not ready for it. I need to be stronger.
Yeah, it would just kill her right away.
Instant kill. So I would have liked to know that the final boss was that hard, because I would have gone
even without the details of what it can do.
I just want to know, like, oh, your defense should probably be here.
Yeah, like having quests, like have them have a skill level.
Yeah,
perhaps.
or like, you're level 15, this is really suited for a level 20, or something like that, because it would help prepare. I think it would help me prepare a little bit better, and I wouldn't spend 20 minutes yelling at the game because I can't figure out why I can't beat the enemy.
True. When you were able to do everything.
When I was able to do everything else. Oh my gosh, so frustrating.
And I can see why that might be hard to program in, because you can get to level whatever by doing non-combat stuff.
Right.
However, having some sort of like ranking of difficulty, even if it's not related to your own abilities, might be helppeful.
Overall, I really like Skyrim. I think I'm going to continue to play. I'm currently in the midst of getting out of King Pelagius III's crazy mind, and so I have to at least resolve that.
Dealing with some Daedra.
Yes. So I think it's really fun. I give it 4 out of 5 stars, and I will continue to be playing it as life goes on.
Which was my goal, because that's one of my favorite games I've played in recent memory.
Yeah. Do they pair?
Yes. We decided that this was a pretty solid pairing on our part, and
go us.
However, we also decided that it was a pretty obvious pairing, because Skyrim is such kind of a big analog for like fantasy worlds in general. And even though in many ways it doesn't have everything in common with the world of Eragon and that world, there's just so much in common just because they're all borrowing from the same kind of Tolkien, post-Tolkien fantasy lore. You know, there's elves, there's dragons.
Dragons.
Well, there's no actual dwarves in Skyrim. They're possibly like a weird ancient race, but that doesn't really matter. Gosh, there's dwarven type stuff. But they all kind of draw from the same area of like, there's magic, dragons, medieval type soldiers, castles,
questing,
kings,
battles,
all the kind of stuff you would expect from this genre. And since Skyrim is supposed to be built in this big open world, they have to give you so many options that it's going to relate to
everything.
So many different fantasy novels. I mean, we could have paired it with Lord of the Rings, with any of the D&D novels or anything else.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, really, we could have probably fit those together. There's dragons involved in both of them. There's all kinds of things.
So, something else we talked about with both of them, and what we realized made them go well together, is that both are dark without being too heavy. So Eragon is a young adult novel. So there are some young adult novels that are really dark and heavy, really dark and heavy. However, this is not one of them. It's got a bunch of shit going on.
There's death, you know, people you like die, you kill some people.
And
they describe it.
And Skyrim's the same way. I mean, there's shit going on. There's a civil war. People are dying. I mean, your character is killing people.
There is one NPC in a town who goes, you know what's wrong with Skyrim, and everybody's obsessed with death. That's my favorite NPC.
Also, I beheaded someone today. So
it happens.
It happens. However, both Eragon and Skyrim also have a lightness at times. So there are things that aren't so dark. Like in Skyrim, I went on a quest and I gave some lady some wheat. And that was the whole quest.
And in Eragon, it's kind of, it feels kind of like an inconsequential kid's novel at times. It doesn't feel as suck you in as, say, you know, like people get with Game of Thrones, where like their favorite character dies and they're broken up about it, you know. There isn't as much of a draw in, like, anyone could die at any time. I doubt Eragon and his dragon are about to pass away, seeing as they seem to be the main crux of this whole story. Yeah, so they definitely have their ups and downs, but kind of steady on the path without too big surprises. The final point I want to make between Eragon and Skyrim are that Eragon, in many ways, the character himself, feels like a too well-rounded character in Skyrim. He's got a few too many abilities for me. And
especially for being 15.
Yes, within 6 months, he learns to ride a dragon, he learns psychic powers, he learns other magic powers, he learns to become an expert sword fighter, not just a pretty good one. They mention that he's better than pretty much any other human.
He's illiterate.
And he learns to read.
He learns to read and write.
All within this time period. So he just feels like almost too... He doesn't seem to have enough of a flaw other than being kind of naive. They touch on that. and not having, really his naivete is his only downfall, and even then it doesn't get him into too much trouble overall. And it felt a lot like building kind of a dull can-do-everything character in, say, D&D, or in Skyrim if you're like, I'm going to be good at everything, which in a fantasy novel is a little too blah. There's no flaw to the character, there's nothing really interesting about them then. But they're just like, I'm naturally pretty talented at all this stuff. I am like a video game character you'd want to play. Not as interesting, but that is something that we found to be in common between Skyrim and Eragon. Yep.
So that's all for this episode of Game and Read. You can find all our episodes and other content online at gameandread.com. And you can find us on Twitter. He is at NerdInTheWorld, and I am at emerch. And be on the lookout for our next Afterwards, and we will see you soon. Thanks for watching.
Bye.